I was doing an energy session this morning and I was reminded I have all this numbness going on in my fingers. And what I'm really clear about in the guidance that I got is that I channel energy through my hands. And I just really believe I am more and more is vibrating at a higher level. But you can connect to a story of sickness, there's something wrong, or I can connect to like, oh no, I'm just embodying a higher version of myself and like let it unfold. Hey everybody, welcome to another Awaken Your Relationships. I am Julie Murphy and this is Rita, who is our relationship expert. I'm the money expert, and we either work things out or we act it out. We do it through our money, through our health, or our relationships. And it's time to let your freak flag fly, everybody. And so we're going to help you do that. And don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, and notification bell. Why? Because we're going to help you get to a life that you absolutely love. So I love saying the term, let your freak flag fly. And I was reminded of that yesterday. I went to this women's forum and I had forgotten that 2 years ago I had done this conference on Zoom and I was asked to be a panelist on Zoom. And, I was just like being myself, and all these women, like there's like 500 women in this thing, and they're all walking up to me, let your freak flag fly. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I don't even remember any of you people. What are you talking about? It was so funny because when you're your unique self, you make an impact on everything in your life because you're the brightest light that you're meant to be. And I got a great reminder of that yesterday. And then here you and I started chatting, and you're like, you know what? We're all absolutely unique. And so, Rita, I would love for you to share some of the stuff that you've been toying with lately.
Yeah. I mean, I've been toying with the idea that, there's this birthing process of, we were taught that who we were wasn't good because it was different from other people. But the birthing process that has to happen is we have to go from thinking we all have to be the same to the fact that we're all different, and that's okay. We're supposed to be different because we're all unique. We're all like scouts in the world, and we need all of the scouts looking around, given perspective so that we can make a good decision for the whole.
Right.
But when we start to shame people or put them down or keep them small because we don't understand that this is who they are, then we lose out. I lose out because I'm missing someone who's going to tell me that there's a tornado 5 miles away from my house.
Right.
Because I didn't understand the meteorologist mindset and they were too weird for me.
Well, I find it's like whatever you choose to tap into. I was doing an energy session this morning and I was reminded I have all this numbness going on in my fingers. And what I'm really clear about in the guidance that I got is that I channel energy through my hands. And I just really believe I am more and more is vibrating at a higher level. But you can connect to a story of sickness, there's something wrong, or I can connect to like, oh no, I'm just embodying a higher version of myself and like let it unfold. Because I was reminded of that when I went to my acupuncturist, and she literally put a needle in my ear over here. And she said, keep pressing on that spot in your abdomen that hurts. She's manipulating the needle she goes, keep pressing. We're going to keep doing this until it stops hurting. And it literally stopped hurting. Like this was like a muscle. It felt like a muscle pull. And I was reminded that so often we have got to remember that however we perceive something, then it becomes reality. It's not, it is, and then you realize it. It's the flip. And that's the same when you don't honor your uniqueness. It's the same when you don't honor the great parts of yourself. If you tell yourself that story that there's something wrong with you, then guess what? Like, I'm going through this with one of my children that the school's like, test them for different kind of learning styles and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, when we were children, if you got tested for different learning styles, that means you were bad, you were wrong, you didn't fit. And there was all this like bad karma stuff put on people that were dyslexic or ADHD or anything. And today, it's like, it's just a different learning style. That's all it is. It's not good or bad. It's just different. And so once you understand your learning style, then you get the right resources so that you soar. And understanding who we are and our greatness is so important because it can mean the difference of years of suffering or years of thriving. And it's important to be unique because that's who you're meant to be.
Well, the biggest challenge, at least for me, has always been that I only remember that I create my reality when I'm in crisis. And I think it's different for other people, but for me, it's always been when I have somebody negative come into my life, that's the time I'm reminded that I drew them in. But the rest of the time, I don't even notice that I'm negative in my head. I don't even notice that I'm saying bad things. I don't even notice that I'm ignoring what I need because I'm focused on getting this project done, or I'm focused on settling this person down, or focused on making sure I get fed well and I drink enough water and I take my vitamins, and, you know, that I don't even notice that my negative thinking is running until something comes up into my world that I've created, that I've drawn in. And I say, why are you in my world? Oh, it's because I need to think more positively. And then I think more positively, but it's still that up and down. Yep. You know, if we can focus all the time in shaping our thoughts and shaping our body and mind into creating what we want. And my favorite phrase lately is, I'm a generous and warm-hearted woman surrounded by generous and warm-hearted people, supported by generous and warm-hearted men and women who love, honor, and respect me, who I love, honor, and respect, who are grateful for me, who I'm grateful for. All of this with this beautiful Midas kind of touch of light and beauty and glow and fun. And then I end with, thank you. I really love that thought. And if I'm always running that, then that's what I'll create. We have to stop being unconscious of what we create and go, oh no, why did this happen to me? Because you've been thinking negatively for the last 4 days.
Totally. And you know what? It reminds me of years ago, I did this, what they call birth agreement work. Like, we all come through the birth canal and we make an agreement on a subconscious level with our mothers. And whether you're C-section or not, you still get your birth agreement with your mom. And I had done this work, and it was the fact that, oh, my agreement with my mom was that you're number one, I'm number two, even at my own cost. And if you looked at my patterning in my life up to that point when I did this when I was 40, was that was true for my employees. It wasn't true for my siblings. It was true for my friendships. It was true for my marriage. It was true for how I interface with my mom. It was like, I would have people say like, Julie, you don't have to do that. And I was like I get that on one level, but on another level, I couldn't figure out how to unpack it. And then, so what I did is I restructured my subconscious mind into what kind of relationships that I wanted. And I didn't realize the snowball effect of doing that work, because it was like, oh no, just like you said, I want mutually beneficial relationships. I want a give and take relationship, not just me give, and not receive. I was also opening up to receiving. Like, we don't realize that it's us and how we show up in the world.
And that's why when we get healthier in taking care of our needs, we not only do it in our romantic relationships, we do it in our relationships with money, we do it in our relationships with ourselves. It's like we up level.
Yeah.
You know, when you really get the idea that how you feel matters, but it's not anybody else's responsibility to take care of it for you. You know, when you come to that conclusion, then everything in your life up levels, because now you start getting your needs met and you're able to move on to the next stage of your life.
Right. And really starting to get to the place where you can observe that and not, like you said, how you respond to the world is that you're creating your life from crisis. And I definitely had a pattern through the years where, because I grew up in such a chaotic household, because there were 14 people living in a 3-bedroom house. there's a little chaos going on there. And so what would I do is I would create chaos maybe at the workplace, or I'd create chaos in my home, or I would create chaos with my friendships. And none of that was conscious. Not 1 ounce of it was conscious, but it was all, things that were reality. And so once I could recognize and observe going, oh, I don't want chaos in my life anymore. And it all started to realign. And when you can start to see how you're a participant of that, and I would argue that if you're responding to the world in crisis or chaos or any of these other things, you're not being your unique self. You're not letting your freak flag fly, because
Right.
you're being some conditioned version of yourself as
Well,
opposed to who you really truly are.
And remember, let's go back to that visual of there are multiple ways you can be dysregulated, but only one way that you can be regulated. And so when you're dysregulated, you are coming from that place of fear, and maybe you're people pleasing, maybe you're fighting, maybe you're working too hard, maybe you've got the blinders on, maybe you've disassociated, but all those are the same thing. It says that you're afraid, you're not in balance, and you have to take care of yourself. If you want to be your authentic self, you have to stop with the coping mechanisms, and you have to actually solve the problem, which is making sure that you get the nourishment that you need. You get the movement that you need, irregardless of what anybody else says you should or shouldn't do. You're responsible for your health and well-being.
Right. You put the oxygen mask on yourself first, just like in an airplane, before you help anybody else. And this is where, when we're stuck in these relationships, and I will say it's either your relationships with your employers, your, family, your love life, you don't show up differently in those 3 worlds, because you are who you are. And if you fix it in one part, it's got to be fixed in the other parts. So people find that, like, I know when I did this massive shift 10 years ago, I don't have any of those employees except for one from back then. Only one. And it's like, oh, that's interesting.
Because the people that need
mutually beneficial.
Yes. You no longer wanted to participate in that type of relationship pattern. And because you didn't want to participate in that, and the other person did, then they'll naturally, like a molecule gravitating, towards something, they'll gravitate towards something else, because they want to stay in that place of feeling sorry for themselves. They don't want to get out of that and into a place of empowerment.
Right. It's about the fact that you have to let things vibrate towards you like a magnet. And you also have to allow things to vibrate away from you. Like, too often, especially us ladies, like, it'll vibrate away, it'll start vibrating, and then we grab it back because of our fear and our worry. And it's like, no, let it. It's that whole adage where you hear, if you love something, set it free. If it was yours and meant to be, it will come back. Right? And let it vibrate away. That allows yourself to be in the flow of where you're being the creator of your life. And it's okay. It's not wrong. It's like, that happens every time a client leaves my office. The new financial planners who are in my office always sit there and go, oh my God, I screwed that up. I'm like, no, they're just vibrating away. It's really okay. Like, let's just help them on their journey as best as we can. And, I had someone this week actually send me an email, just like, I can't believe she's not making her calendar available for me. I don't work around her. She works around me. And I paused and I go, wow, she's suffering. Like, she's in her stuff. And, and I was like, how do I most lovingly reply to this by staying in my power, but yet also not participating in somebody else's stuff? And my reply was that I wanted to remind her that the last couple appointments, they were scheduled and she was a no-show. And I'm still trying to find a time to address her stuff. So often when we're pointing the finger like it's somebody else and it's their problem, it's really not. It's something that you need to work on inside of yourself. And I still gave her the options. I said, one, here's my availability. This is the way I've chose to make my calendar. It's not that I'm not available, but here's my hours throughout the week that I'm available. And or you can work with somebody in my team that is available at the same time you prefer, or you can transition to somewhere else that you feel serves you better. We're here for you anyway. Which do you choose? Because I really want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to step into it from a place of empowerment, not the victim, because it's not supported in our society around the world. I don't think it's just in the United States that like you're under a system and it's dictating to you and you have to show up this way, and it's like, no, no, you can come from a place of empowerment. But again, if you're not being your unique self and you're negotiating yourself away, like I did not in that process want to negotiate myself away, but how do I do that and be loving at the exact same time, right? And I think that takes time for some of us to build that muscle to do that. But again, this all goes back to when your own nervous system is not hijacked, you're not reacting to everything, but you're responding. And you can really observe, what the patterning is so that you don't get hooked into your old patterning and then you're supporting the life that you want to create. Because it really is boiling down to, well, what kind of life do you want to create? And then go from there, right? But you can't do
Yeah,
that if you're not your unique self.
right. And the thing that most people are afraid of is that if they do the wrong thing, if they take that chance to let someone walk away or let something disintegrate or disappear, they worry that everything's going to blow up. And, I lived in that place of fear for a really long time until I became good friends with someone who blew things up just because that was their temperament. And so I kept having these experiences of things blowing up, but then looking for the opportunities in there and listening to how my friend perceived how things blow up.
Right.
And what comes on the other side of blowing everything up is an understanding that it's going to be okay.
Right. Right.
That's where you truly get your feeling of safety, of abundance, of
Right.
security, is when everything falls apart and
Mm.
you end up okay. Even if tragedy happens, even if someone dies, even if, the worst you can imagine happens, war or poverty, or, just as Mother Teresa was in the slums.
Right.
It's the only way out is to look for the opportunities in the desolate wasteland that's in front of you.
Right.
And if you don't make a conscious effort to look for that, then you're going to keep creating a poverty-stricken, angry, conflicted psyche, which then ripples out and connects with all these other people who are dysregulated and unhappy. You're
Well,
feeding it.
and I think it's about, I remember this book I read by Deepak Chopra. He talked about, could you imagine what the world would be like if even in our school systems that we would focus on people's strengths and not their weaknesses? That if we focus on the fact that, oh, this is your gift, let's amplify you in this direction. Oh, this is your gift, let's amplify you in this direction. But our system today is to say, fix what you suck at. It's like,
right. It's a patriarchal mindset. And some brain trust somewhere who wants to be in control of the whole world, realized that, oh, if you make people focus on the things that they're bad at, they're going to stay in the mindset of how bad they are and they'll oppress themselves.
Right, right, right. And stay in the mystery. This is where I always tell people, this is where your physical body really has a lot to do with it, because if you find yourself in this like structured mindset and it's this way, or you're in control, blah, blah, you need to go do some yoga flow classes. Even though
Right.
it probably drives you freaking crazy to go to yoga class, because that's what you actually probably need, because a flexible body creates a flexible mind. And then you're
People,
able to be more of yourself when you're more open.
right. People fight with me almost, I mean, and we'll laugh about it after the fact, but they'll fight with me and argue with me about why they don't have time to go do the thing they want to do more than anything. Let's say go play in the waves at the beach, or sit outside in the sun, or go to a farmer's market and get really perfect fruit.
Absolutely.
They will fight with me as to why they're not able to do something that makes them feel good.
Right? That's so true. And it's like, or the excuses. Like I remember like, I'm so busy. And I'm like, I am busy, but what is the I then when I first started to try to do this, I started to schedule in my schedule unstructured time. Like it almost sounds like what? It's like, no,
I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
Yeah, because then I could actually flow with whatever I wanted in that moment. It was kind of like last night I had my brother call me and say, "Hey, you know what are you doing with your kids? You have your kids?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have my kids." He goes, "I need someone to watch my kids while I go to work." And I go, "Okay, well, I'm just here at home making videos. The cousins can all hang out." So I have a bunch of cousins with my kids in my house as we speak, and it's like because that was like my unstructured time with my kids, and I'm like, well, I might get videos done. I might not get videos done, but whatever they're doing, and then I'll go do what then feels expansive for me. And it's like it all kind of fell into alignment. But if we're so like structured, like I call up this other brother and I'm like, dude, when can we get the kids together? And he's like, well, we're available the first week of August. I'm like, are you shitting me? Like, if you love that and that's how you want to be structured, but it doesn't allow the flow of life. Like we have to, and trust me, my schedule is like you guys would laugh. Like this is what a Julie day looks like. It's back to back to back. But if I don't pile out, like I have a new employee, it's really funny. She wants to like she goes, "Well, you had a gap in your day, so I put something in there." I go, "You didn't have a thing that said client appointment time." Like I've given you how many clients I will be seeing per week, and here's the slots. You don't get to choose. That's my choice. It's funny that that thing for me is something I'm constantly challenged on. It's like, but it's just reminding me to choose me, choose what's authentic for me. Because you know what, when you're a mom of four, running a business, running all your social media and writing books and all that stuff, you have to really be mindful of what you choose and what you step into from an empowered state. And I know if I can do that, I know anybody can do that. It's important that we all understand that, you know?
If we have only limited circuits, which we can grow, we can get more circuits, but at this time where you are this second, we all have a limited number of brain circuits. Do we want to use up those brain circuits with pain, suffering, I'm a miserable person, fear, controlling, manipulation, reaction? Why would we take our genius, our the miracle that we are, and fill up those circuits with everything that makes us toxic?
Right?
We have to say, even if I am the worst person in the world and I don't know it, that thinking that thought is not going to help anybody. I need to think the thought of what's the opportunity in this. It's the only way out is to intentionally create today, tomorrow, and the next 100 years.
Totally get it. Totally get it. Rita, I love our chats, and tell people how they can get a hold of you.
They can find me at ritahickmancoaching.com. And if they'd like to get to know more about me, I do monthly master classes and energy healings that I have a different topic every month. So it changes pretty fast. And then I also have a lot of information on YouTube about narcissistic relationships and holistic healing, because I'm wired and designed, my unique self is to be a healer. I can't escape it. I have way too many astrological signs and DNA. And I said to my psychologist the other day, I said, maybe I should just give up. I've been doing it my entire life since I was 4. I said, maybe I should just give this up and do something like stamp collecting. And she's like, this is who you are. You're kind of stuck. So you can find me, and I help women and men recover from relationships, emotional relationships. and move on to that next phase of their life, even if it happened like 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Yeah, or if you haven't even transitioned it and it's been 30 years in one that you know doesn't feed you. I can tell you from
Exactly.
my own experience, and I will still go back to the fact that I have had quite the road in my divorce process, if you will. And I'm going to share this yet again because this is the vision of where we're headed. And this is boyfriend, husband, ex-husband, and daughter. Like, dawn a new day, because not only did we get through it, it's about holding your vision for what you want to be. And you can only be that if you show up as your authentic self. And I have set the intention all along, the highest and best for me, my kids, and my ex. And we are starting to get that foundation under place. And Rita, I am super grateful for all the coaching along the way, because you have been my key master on the relationship side. Hence, I love sharing your gifts with the world, because we do work things out, or we act it out through our money or through our relationships or our health. And we need to understand that this is the trifecta. It's our stool legs. And we got to make sure that you don't have one leg shorter than the other. I always tell people, like, well, if you don't nurture the relationships, well, then 50% of your money is going out the door in a divorce. And I've been saying that for 15, 20 years. Never in a million years thinking that that would actually be mine, because I didn't see what that patterning was from the traumas from our own childhood. And so it's really fascinating. And on my end, come to juliemurphy.com. I have emails that go out. I have a group coaching. We just started a new round, but we're going to put one out there first week of August. And every quarter, I'm going to start up a new group. So,
and I'm excited to join your next one. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I literally just wrote down, like, oh, I'm going to have Rita as the guest speaker too. I'm thinking, like, maybe you can chime in on the relationship stuff in the group.
I would love to. I would love to.
I literally just wrote that down. I was like, oh, that's how we do that. Got it.
That's how we do it. We hear each other think.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody, hit that subscribe, like, and notification bell. Why? Because we're going to get you the life that you love. And please share this, because we are beams of light and we want to help everybody get to that place. Thanks, everybody. Ciao.